Beloved one, what I am about to say to you requires that you set down every distraction, every running thought, every half-finished concern that has been competing for your attention since the moment you opened your eyes this morning. Not because this message demands performance from you, but because what God is doing in your life right now is the kind of thing that gets missed when the mind is too loud to hear it. And you cannot afford to miss this. God is showing you a person you are going to marry. Not someday in the vague, comforting way that people say someday when they want to offer hope without making a promise. Not as a possibility that depends on a long chain of perfect decisions and ideal circumstances all falling into alignment without a single interruption. As a reality that is already in motion. As something that has already been decided in a realm where decisions of this magnitude are made. The realm that sits above circumstance, above timing, above the fear and the doubt and the weariness that this season may have produced in you. God has already chosen, and what God is doing right now in this specific window of your life is bringing your eyes into alignment with what His eyes have already seen. Welcome to Angel Messages for You. This channel exists for exactly this kind of moment, the moment when heaven has something so direct, so personal, so completely specific to the life of the person receiving it that it cannot be delivered through ordinary means. It must come through a vessel that is tuned to the frequency of what God is releasing. If you found this today, subscribe now, not out of obligation, but out of recognition that this is a place where your spirit gets fed in a language it understands. Now, beloved one, let us go slowly, because the magnitude of what is being said deserves more than a surface reading. When God shows you a person, it does not always arrive the way the imagination expects. It does not always come wrapped in the cinematic clarity of a single undeniable moment where everything is obvious and the path is perfectly lit from where you are standing all the way to the horizon. Sometimes it comes subtly. Sometimes it comes as a persistent returning of your thoughts to one particular person when you had every reason to think about someone else. Sometimes it comes as an unusual sense of peace in the presence of someone your logic has not yet finished evaluating. Sometimes it comes as a recognition so quiet it barely registers as anything more than a feeling, until the feeling comes back again and again and again, in the way that only things sent from God have the patience to keep returning. Think about the person who keeps returning, not the person you have been trying to make yourself feel something for, not the person you have been convincing yourself is right, because the list of their qualities is objectively impressive. Not the person who makes the most logical sense given the circumstances of your life and the expectations of the people around you. The person who returns without your permission. The person who surfaces in your thinking when you are not looking for them. The person whose name or face or particular way of being arrives in your mind in the quiet moments before sleep or the first soft moments after waking, uninvited and yet somehow not unwelcome. That returning, it's not random. God does not waste that kind of persistence on people who are not significant. Persistent returning is the language of spiritual pointing. It is how the unseen realm directs attention when the conscious mind keeps looking elsewhere. Scripture says, "The steps of a good person are ordered by the Lord." Psalm 37:23. Not just the large steps, not just the obvious, declared, publicly visible steps, the small ones too, the direction of thought, the movement of the heart toward a particular person, the recurring sense that someone belongs in your story in a way that exceeds what you have yet been able to justify or explain. These are ordered steps. These are divinely directed movements. These are God arranging what He has already seen from the place where He sees everything. Leave a comment below right now and write, "God is ordering my steps." Write it as an affirmation of what is already true, because the alignment that heaven is bringing into your life is not waiting for your permission to proceed. It is waiting for your awareness, and awareness changes how you walk through the days ahead. Beloved one, let us talk about why God shows a person before the fullness of the relationship arrives. Because this is something that matters deeply to understanding what you are in the middle of right now. God does not operate on the same timeline that human impatience operates on. He does not reveal the destination and then immediately transport you there, bypassing the journey, skipping the preparation, handing you something you are not yet ready to hold. He reveals the destination so that the journey has direction, so that the preparation has context, so that every season between the showing and the arriving can be lived with intentionality rather than wandered through with anxiety. He is showing you this person now because now is when you need the knowledge, not to immediately run toward them with the announcement of what God told you, not to shortcut the organic, beautifully human process of two people discovering each other and choosing each other in the full freedom of their own wills, but so that you can stop looking elsewhere, so that the energy and the emotional investment and the hope that has been scattered across possibilities that were never going to become permanence can begin to gather itself and settle, so that you can begin quietly, faithfully, to become the person this union will require you to be. Because marriage, real marriage, the kind that God designs and superintends and pours His presence into, does not just require the right person, it requires the right version of you. That is what this season is. It is not a waiting room where you sit with nothing to do until the appointed moment arrives. It is a preparation room. Everything happening in you right now, the growth that has been painful, the patterns that have been broken, the beliefs about yourself and love and what you deserve that have been slowly, sometimes agonizingly, revised, all of it is preparation. All of it is God working in the interior of who you are to build the foundation that the marriage He is bringing will need in order to stand on. Scripture says, "He who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord." Proverbs 18:22. Favor is not accidental. Favor is the result of alignment. When your life is aligned with God's purpose, when your choices are moving in the direction of who He created you to be, favor moves with you. It goes ahead of you into rooms before you enter them. It softens what would have been hard. It opens what would have been closed. It positions what needs to be positioned so that when you arrive at the moment God has been preparing, everything is already in place. The favor is moving. The positioning is happening. You are closer to what God has been preparing than the current view from where you are standing allows you to see. Like this video, if your spirit is responding to what is being said with something that feels like recognition rather than just information, your engagement is a signal to your own soul that it is receiving something true. Beloved one, there is something the angels need to say about the person God is showing you, not their name, not a physical description, not the kind of specific detail that the flesh reaches for first when it hears something like this, but their nature, their quality, the spiritual character of the person God has chosen to place in the architecture of your future. This person is someone who has been prepared by difficulty. They are not a person who arrived at this point in their life without being shaped by something hard. They carry the particular depth that only comes from having been in the fire and having emerged not unscathed, but undefeated. They know what it means to trust God when trust is the only currency left and there is nothing else in the account. They know what it means to stay faithful in a season that offered every reason to be faithless. That knowing is written into who they are at a level that surfaces and services are unable to disguise or manufacture. They are not perfect. That needs to be said plainly, because the word soulmate and the concept of a God-chosen partner can activate an idealization that sets the stage for profound disappointment when reality arrives in its actual form. This person has flaws. They have places in them where the healing is still in process. They have moments where their humanity will be inconvenient and imperfect and occasionally frustrating. That is not a disqualification. That is a confirmation that what God is building is something real. Real things are built with real people. Perfect people are not available because perfect people do not exist. What this person has is not perfection. What they have is direction. They are moving toward God and therefore moving toward the version of themselves that will be capable of the love your life is designed to receive. And movement toward God, sustained and sincere, covers more relational ground than perfection ever could. Scripture says two are better than one because they have a good reward for their labor. For if either of them falls, the one will lift up his companion. Ecclesiastes 4, 9, and 10. This is what God is building toward, not a decorative partnership that looks good from the outside, a functional, spiritually rooted, mutually strengthening union, where both people are more capable of their individual callings because of the presence and support of the other, where the falling of one does not mean abandonment, but lifting, where the labor of one is multiplied by the presence of the other. That is the marriage God is showing you, not the fantasy version, the real, daily, deeply rewarding version, the one that is built through the unglamorous consistency of two people choosing each other not just on the good days, but on the ordinary ones, on the tired ones, on the days when nothing significant is happening and the relationship is being sustained not by feeling, but by commitment. Those days are not the exception in a God-ordained marriage. They are the majority of it, and they are beautiful in a way that the highlight moments are not, because they represent love that has chosen itself not under the influence of novelty or romance, but under the plain and clear-eyed conditions of real life. Comment below and write, "I am ready for real love," not perfect love, real love. Write it as a statement of your own readiness, because readiness is part of what this season is producing in you and declaring it matters. Beloved one, there is a question that the angels know is present in the spirit of some of those receiving this message right now. The question sounds like this: how do I know it is them? How do I know that the person I am sensing, the person who keeps returning to my thoughts, the person whose presence produces something in me that I cannot fully explain, how do I know that is the person God is showing me and not simply a person I want so badly that I am constructing divine confirmation out of ordinary desire? That is a fair and honest question, and it deserves a fair and honest answer. The difference between desire and divine direction is most clearly felt in the quality of the peace that accompanies them. Desire is loud. It is urgent. It produces a specific kind of anxiety that masquerades as passion, a need to know now, to resolve the uncertainty immediately, to have the confirmation secured so the discomfort of not knowing can finally stop. Desire keeps you up at night, turning the same questions over and over, not because you are receiving answers, but because the anxiety of not having them will not allow rest. Divine direction is different. It is quieter. It persists without urgency. It does not demand immediate resolution. It produces a peace that remains present even when the circumstances around it are unclear, even when the timing's uncertain, even when the logical mind cannot yet construct a pathway from here to there. That peace is the signature of God. Scripture says, "And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds." Philippians 4:7. That peace that surpasses understanding means it does not need your understanding to exist. It simply is. And when it is present around a particular person, around a particular direction, around a particular sense of where your life is being guided, that is not your imagination. That is God signing His name to what He is doing.